Hi there, I'm Eshu Martin. Welcome to Living Zen. The Living Zen podcast began in 2009 as a way for me to share the Dharma talks and teachings I was offering in my capacity as abbot of Zen West Buddhist Society, which is a Zen Buddhist practice center in the Rinzai tradition on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. Over the next 8 years, more than 500 episodes were released on Living Zen, before the last episode was published in 2017. And I'm happy to say that those episodes are all still available right here. And a lot has happened since 2017. Going forward, here's what you can expect from the Living Zen podcast. I'll share some guided meditations and trance work, as well as some learning around non-ordinary states of consciousness, from meditation to hypnosis to ecstatic trance to psychedelics. I'll engage in the practice and exploration of decolonization and reconciliation. I'll tell folktales and myth stories, and I hope to interview some of the people that I've come to admire and respect. You're welcome to enjoy whatever interests you and just leave the rest. I'd love to hear from you about what you enjoy about the podcast and even about what you don't. Likes and shares are lovely and they help to spread the word, and I love connecting with actual people. So, if you've got questions or comments, you can email me directly at eshu@monarchtrancework.com, and I'll put that email in the show notes as well. Now, let's get on with Living Zen. Okay, welcome back to the Living Zen podcast. Today I'm going to share the next session in the Fundamentals of Trancework series with a session that will help you unburden your subconscious mind. As we go about living our lives, we have all kinds of experiences, both good and bad, and often our focus is on moving through challenges and adverse experiences as quickly as possible, and once we've done that, we seldom look back. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that sometimes it results in us mentally or emotionally carrying around bits of unfinished business that are often years or even decades old. The kinds of things that pop up into our awareness at the most inconvenient times, like when things are quiet at home, or when we're finally able to lay down in bed, or when we're trying to focus on that task that we really need to get done. This session will help you clarify the nature of the stuff that's been lingering around in the shadows of your subconscious mind and weighing you down. You can release what's no longer needed and bring into focus anything that might need a little more intention to unpack and process so that you can move forward on your journey. This session includes a prep session before as well as an integration session after, so you'll need about 90 minutes to give yourself the time and space to get the most out of it. The integration session will also help you to better understand how your subconscious mind prefers to communicate, which will become very important as you move forward with trance work. This session is also available to download for free from my website at monarchtrancework.com, as are many other sessions. I'll put a direct link in the show notes. Now, take a few moments to get yourself into a comfortable and appropriate place, and let's get started. Enjoy! Welcome to Foundations of Trancework. In the session that you're about to experience, we're going to explore unburdening your subconscious mind. Now, you and I have had many experiences in our lives from the time that we were born right up until the present moment. And some of those experiences may have been confusing, painful, or even traumatic because at the time they happened, we just didn't have the physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual resources that we needed to even understand, never mind process them in a fulsome and healthy way, and most often simply because we were just young and inexperienced. And when we have these kinds of experiences, our incredible subconscious minds protect us and help us survive by creatively responding and adapting, by developing beliefs and reactive patterns that may be effective in the short term or in a particular context, but are often based on an incomplete picture and sometimes even completely false perceptions or understandings of the situation or whatever was happening at the time. All the same, these kinds of experiences can shape our fundamental beliefs, our beliefs about ourselves, about how the world works, even about the nature of reality. Sometimes these experiences happen so long ago that we've even consciously forgotten the specific events that first shaped our deepest beliefs and reactions. Yet our beliefs, and the reactions that are built upon them, continue to manifest into our daily lives today, rising from the depths of our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind continues to carry our experiences, our beliefs, and our reactive patterns. They don't just go away on their own. As we mature and develop, the environment we live in changes. The relationships that we have change. And our understanding of the world, ourselves, and the nature of reality changes. We do create new beliefs, but sometimes, underneath it all, our old beliefs are still there. And those old, out-of-date beliefs, fears, resentments, and traumas, well, they can come into conflict with who we are now and who you want to be in the future. Our new beliefs and responses are simply added on top of the ones that we're already carrying. And sometimes that can be just too much to carry all at once. In this session, your subconscious mind will be given an opportunity to clarify and identify the unbeneficial burdens that you're carrying, those old patterns and belief, in a new way that you'll be able to clearly recognize and understand. You'll have an opportunity to see them, to acknowledge them, and to finally put them down. You can let go of them for once and for all. And it may be the case that for some of those burdens, there's still work to do before you're ready to let them go entirely. And if this is so, you'll find that this process offers an opportunity for your subconscious mind to prioritize specific areas where that work is ready to begin, whether it's through recognition, acknowledgement, release, or reconciliation. And your subconscious mind can offer you guidance towards the next steps in your path, and you'll be able to continue that journey along the path through trance work. This trance work session is about 35 minutes in length. I strongly recommend doing the integration session immediately after experiencing the trance session, so you'll want to make sure you have about 60 minutes of open time before you begin. Before we get started, you can prepare for integration by having some paper and a pen or pencil close by before you begin, so that you can move directly into the integration without any delays. The integration session is an important component of trance work, as it allows you to bridge subconscious or non-ordinary experiences and learnings and your conscious awareness. When you begin the session, it's a good idea to skip forward a minute or two into the recording and adjust your volume levels. And when they're at a level that feels good for you, settle back in, go to the beginning, and get started. A note on the background music. This track is specially designed to facilitate deep trance and to stimulate specific neural frequencies. You'll notice that there's a clicking track as we begin that gradually slows over the first few minutes and eventually fades away completely. Please know that this is an intended component of the experience and it is not a technical issue. And finally, please remember, trance work is very powerful, so please do not play this session while you're driving in a car or in any other situation where your conscious awareness and attention is required. Okay, Once you're prepared and comfortable, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's begin by bringing your awareness to your breath as it flows in and out of your body, breathing deep into your center. And you know that you don't need to breathe any particular way. You don't need to breathe especially deeply or slowly, just breathing naturally. Now, I don't know if you're wearing headphones or not, but either way, just noticing if there are any sounds that you can hear in or around the room that you're in. And you can let any sounds at all just drift away into the background, fading off into the distance. And during this session, you won't be distracted at all by any sounds that arise. In fact, even if there is a sudden or unexpected sound, you can actually use that sound to kind of push off of, like a lever, as if you could dive down beneath the waves of sound into a deeper, quiet, internal space. And the only sound I want you to pay attention to is the sound of my voice. All right, good. Now, in a moment, I'm going to begin to count down from 5 to 1. And by the time I arrive at 1, you'll be there in a deep, receptive, hypnotic state. And of course, you already know the way down because you've been in hypnosis before. So you don't need to wait for me to get all the way down to 1 to go into hypnosis. You can go into hypnosis along the way. Just use my counting to carry you even deeper down. You can go twice as deep with each number that I count, beginning with number 5. As you notice the relaxation flowing through your body, you can double that relaxation. And you might like to imagine or pretend that I've brought that special air filled with molecules of pure relaxation into the room. And you can just breathe that in, filling your whole body and feeling that relaxation spreading out, emanating from your center through every part of your body, all the way down your arms, to your hands, and to your fingers, relaxed and heavy, and all the way down through your legs to your feet and your toes, loose and limp and comfortable. That's right. You're doing great. And number 4, twice as deep, as that wave of comfort just washes over you, down from the very top of your head, deeper down through your eyes, loose and heavy, your cheeks and your jaw relaxed and comfortable, just letting it all go as you breathe deeper down now, unwinding the muscles of your neck and your shoulders, breathing in that relaxing air deeper down as you give yourself permission to just put down anything at all that you're carrying, knowing that anything that needs to be addressed after our session, well, you can take care of that later. But for right now, there's nowhere else that you need to be. Right now, there's nothing else that you need to be doing. You've set aside this time to experience trance work today, and you're already so comfortable. So you might as well use this time wisely to relax completely into a deep trance state. And number 3, as the relaxation in your body doubles, you may begin to recognize those familiar sensations, the subtle ways your body is allowing you to know how hypnosis works for you, sinking into that relaxed, comfortable heaviness and letting everything else out there just drift away right now. Because what's happening out there isn't so important. What is important is attending to what's going on right now, deeper inside. Your thoughts, your feelings, as you continue to go deeper now. Number 2, breathing yourself down twice as deep, and your unconscious mind will take you all the way down to your perfect depth for this session, because you're in complete control of your own depth. And I wonder how deep you'll go today. You can feel free to explore and experiment. You can lean into the wonderful feelings of relaxation and comfort that are getting deeper with each breath as you relax all the way down into such a deep, relaxing trance state. Now, number 1, doubling the depth again as you drift all the way down, deep in hypnosis. And I wonder if you can give yourself permission to truly enjoy how good it feels to be so relaxed as you find your way now to your peaceful place. And you might like to imagine going through the door, or you can simply imagine or picture yourself appearing there. Feel yourself welcome and embraced by the protection, the complete safety of your peaceful place. And as you breathe in the wonderful, relaxing atmosphere, feeling your feet grounded as you find your way to your most comfortable spot, and lowering yourself down, even deeper down, and now relaxing ever deeper, just like a tree, extending roots down into that rich, nourishing earth, feeling that deep stability, that profound nourishment. And trance work is such a powerful way to explore what's happening inside of you. And sometimes I think that what's most wonderful about trance work is that it keeps getting easier. Each and every time you enter into trance, you go into trance more quickly, and you keep going deeper down. And something I've noticed is that in our everyday lives, there can be so many challenging feelings, so many different situations and circumstances and relationships that can feel like a kind of weight that we carry. And life can feel so busy. It seems like you don't often get a break or an opportunity to process or even to notice what it is that you're still carrying, what it is that you want to let go of, what it is that you've been hanging on to, without even being aware of how greatly it burdens you. And that's just what we're going to explore today. You'll discover what you've been carrying, and you'll discover that you can release everything because you just don't need to carry that stuff anymore. And so, I wonder if you can imagine, if you can picture in your mind's eye that somewhere here in your peaceful place there is a path or a trail. And what I'd like you to do is just imagine finding your way to the very beginning of that path. Go ahead and do that now. Find the beginning of that trail. Great. And as you begin to walk along that trail, you can hear the sound of the path beneath your feet. Maybe it's a gravel path, or perhaps it's wood chips, or just the soft, loose earth. There's no right or wrong. You can just notice. You can feel the trail under your feet, and you can hear the sound of the trail as you walk. And as you walk along the trail, listening to the bird song carried by the breeze, the trail begins to gently slope down, descending towards a forest, and the temperature is cooling as you step under the branches of the trees. And as you look up, you can see the sky between the branches above you, and you can smell the rich, dark earth of the forest and the sap of the trees. Reaching out, you might feel the rough bark covered in cool, damp moss. And as you continue to walk along the trail, you can notice that you're carrying a backpack. You can feel the straps on your shoulders, and you can feel its weight. And you can imagine it getting heavier and heavier with each step you take. That backpack is getting heavier and heavier because this backpack holds objects of some kind. They might be jars or bottles. They could be metal cans or boxes or even plastic containers. Whatever kind of containers work for you. And in those containers are all of the things that have been burdening you for so long, things that have been weighing you down, holding you back, and getting in your way for a long time. And these burdens, well, they can be anything really. Emotions can be burdens, feelings like guilt or grief or shame or anger, habits, behaviors that maybe once helped to distract you or avoid difficulty, but now you're ready to let them go. Past relationships can be burdens, unkept promises, unfulfilled or outdated goals, even people or groups of people that you've been carrying for too long and you just want to put them down. And each and every one of the objects in your backpack is marked or labeled in some way. You can identify them all clearly. It might be that just by touch or smell or even taste, you know exactly what it is. Maybe there's a label of contents, or perhaps its color informs you exactly what each object is. And for now, you can just be aware of the weight of the burdens you've been carrying for so long, pulling down on the straps, your backpack getting heavier with every step. And one thing you know for sure is that you don't want to keep carrying all this stuff. And now the path that you're walking begins to wind more steeply down a slope, and the trees begin to thin, and you begin to hear a new sound, the gentle sound of water. And there's moisture in the air, and your pack is feeling even heavier. But somehow you sense that a short distance ahead, you'll come to the end of the path. So you keep walking. And as you reach the bottom of the slope, the trail opens out onto a wide beach. And you step over some driftwood onto small, flat stones that give way to sand. You can hear and feel the gentle rhythm of the waves as the tide is rolling out. And as you look down the length of the beach, you can see that off in the distance, there's a beautiful, old-fashioned boat. Maybe it's some kind of rowboat or a canoe. This boat's been pulled up onto the shore and tethered to a big stone. And as you approach it, you notice the material that it's made of and the colors. And you can get right up close to that boat and peek inside of it, and you notice that it's completely empty, and you have a wonderful idea. And I'd like you to just go ahead, just let that backpack slide off of your shoulders onto the sand behind you. You're tired of carrying around the heavy burden of all that stuff in your life. You feel ready to let them all go for once and for all. to let that boat carry them away on the outgoing tide. And so in a moment, I'm going to just be quiet. And while I am, what I'd like you to do is, one by one, take out each one of those objects in your backpack and look at it and feel it. Notice what it is and recognize what you're ready to let go of, what you finally need to deal with, so you can really get on with doing what you're meant to do in your life. Maybe they're feelings or habits, maybe they're behaviors or relationships, disappointments, old wounds. I'm not sure what it is that you might like to let go of, but you know better than anyone else. So take some time while I'm quiet to go through that backpack and become aware of what all those items are. Take them out and just place them on the beach beside you. And if you complete this task while I'm still quiet, you can just pause, relaxing deeply. And in a moment, I'm going to have you take each one of those containers and place them into the boat. And you're going to be delighted to notice that with every item you put into the boat, you feel better and better, lighter, more free. You're feeling such relief as you lighten your load. It feels incredible to finally let go of these burdens. It feels great to have made the choice to no longer carry them. You no longer allow them to hold you back, hold you down, interfere with your movement forward. With every item you drop into the boat, you're feeling greater and greater peace, freedom, comfort, and relief. With every object you feel lighter and lighter, and it feels so amazing to be lightening your load this way. And I'm going to be quiet for a few moments while you do this. And if you complete this task before I begin to speak again, you can just wait quietly, relaxing ever deeper. Okay, good work. And now I'd like you to place that backpack into the boat as well, because you really don't need to be carrying any more burdens. Go ahead and do that now. Excellent. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to find a way to untether that boat. It might be that you can untie some knots easily, or it might be that there's a sharp knife or axe that you can safely use to cut the rope. You can even undo the tethers with your mind or by magic. There's no right way or wrong way. And go ahead now. Find a way that works for you and untether that boat. And as the boat comes free, the waves begin to lift the boat up off the sand. It begins to be drawn further out into the water on the ebbing tide. And you notice that buoyant sensation in your body now too, lifting, a kind of lightness that begins to expand with each and every breath, a spaciousness as the boat begins to drift away, farther and farther away, and you watch it go. And as the boat drifts further out into the water, you notice that it's getting smaller as it gets further away from you, farther and farther and smaller and smaller. And that lightness, spaciousness, buoyancy is expanding, filling you. And there's a freedom and an ease of movement in your body. There's a lightness, a spaciousness in your breath as you watch it drifting farther and farther, getting smaller and smaller as it goes. And in a moment, that boat will be so far away and so small that it just disappears. It may be that it passes behind a big wave or disappears behind a distant island, or it may just get so tiny, becomes just a speck, and then it disappears, and you just watch it go until it's completely gone. And it's gone. And you take a deep breath, spacious freedom, feeling that wonderful lightness and flow, that buoyancy and ease of movement in your body. And you might enjoy just running down the beach, or jumping, or skipping, or dancing, or maybe you might just like to enjoy lying back and looking up at the sky, totally free. And you know, trance work is such an incredible experience, because in trance work, you're creating powerful resources deep within your own subconscious mind. And these resources are yours to enjoy. They exist inside of you. They're not dependent on anyone outside, or even on listening to recordings like this one. And this beach is now a resource for you. And at any time you choose, you can return to this beach. Anytime at all you feel as if you're carrying some burden that you just don't want to carry, all you need to do is just close your eyes and vividly imagine walking down the trail to this beach. And you'll find that there's another boat just waiting to receive whatever's been weighing you down. And you can easily place it into the boat and just release it. Just as you've done today, you can just let it go. And you will experience that wonderful, buoyant freedom. And you know what? The very best part is that now you can bring this wonderful, buoyant, free feeling back with you now as you find your way back up the hill, along the trail, and through the woods, all the way back to your peaceful place. And you easily find your way to your most comfortable spot, and lowering yourself back down into your comfortable place, rooting in deep. And as you settle in to that profound relaxation, you can feel that incredible, liberated feeling just flowing through your whole body as it becomes a part of you, familiar, comfortable, integrating into every part of you, woven into every bone, every muscle, every cell. It's as if you've taken up a new way of being, a new foundation, and you feel so good. And you'll bring that feeling back with you into your waking consciousness in a moment when I count up from 1 to 5. And when I arrive at 5, you'll return to your waking state of consciousness, bringing this amazing feeling with you. And you'll feel awake and alert, refreshed and wonderful. And you don't need to hurry. You can rise slowly with my counting, just like a bubble of air rising from the depths of the ocean. Number 1. And after this session, you'll feel as if you've woken from a deep nap, your body relaxed and comfortable, and your mind clear, focused, and energized. Number 2. Your sleep at night comes quickly and easily and is deep and restful. And during your sleeping time, if you should be woken for any reason, you return to sleep quickly and easily, going even deeper than before you woke. Number 3. And when you wake up at the time that you've chosen to, you feel refreshed, replenished, energized, and motivated for the day ahead of you. Number 4. Allowing some awareness of the room that you're in, some sensation into your body, movement into your fingers and your toes. And number 5, at your own speed, and when you are ready, you can open your eyes and return to the room, awake, alert, refreshed, and feeling wonderful, taking all the time that you need. Welcome to the integration for the Trancework Foundation's Unburdening session. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you're ready with your paper and pen or pencil, or if you prefer, you might like to use a recorder and make your responses verbally for yourself. Please pause this recording and get yourself all ready to go. During this integration session, I'm going to ask you a number of questions for your consideration. The questions that I will ask you are structured in a sequential order, and for best results, I want to encourage you not to skip ahead or pass by any questions without making a response. After each question, I will pause so that you can stop this recording and make your response. Please take as much time as you need to complete your response. In each answer, I want to invite you to be as detailed and descriptive as you can be. Okay, let's get started with the first question. As your journey began, you started by walking along a path or a trail. Please describe the trail in as much detail as you can remember. Was there anything that stood out to you in the experience of walking along the trail? If so, what did you notice? During the journey, you were carrying a backpack. Describe the backpack in as much detail as you can remember. For example, what color was it, and what kind of material was it made of? Was there anything that really stood out to you about the backpack? Was there anything familiar about the backpack or unusual about it? What kind of containers were in your backpack? For example, were they glass or metal or plastic or some other material? Describe the containers in as much detail as you can remember. As you continued your journey, you came to a beach. Describe the beach in as much detail as you can remember. Was there anything that caught your attention or stood out to you on the beach? On the beach, there was a boat of some kind. Describe the boat in as much detail as you can remember. Was there anything about the boat that struck you as remarkable or unusual? When you reached the boat, you took the containers out of your backpack and you noticed what they contained. Describe what was in each of your containers in as much detail as you can remember. Did any of the containers seem more significant than the others in any way? For example, were any of them larger or heavier or denser or darker or brighter? Did any of the containers provoke a strong emotional response? If so, which one or ones? Next, you place the containers into the boat. Were any of the containers more or less difficult in any way to put into the boat? Describe your experience of putting the containers into the boat in as much detail as you can remember. After that, you placed your backpack into the boat. Describe your experience of putting the backpack into the boat in as much detail as you can remember. Okay, and then you found a way to untether the boat. How did you go about doing that? Did you untie it, or cut the tether, or did you do it in some other way? If you cut the tether, what did you use to cut it? Describe how you untethered the boat in as much detail as you can remember. Gradually, the boat began to drift out into the water. What did you see, hear, and feel as the boat drifted out? Describe your experience in as much detail as you can remember. And eventually the boat completely disappeared. Did it just fade away? Did it drift behind a wave or an island? Describe your experience in as much detail as you can remember. Describe your experience when you realized that the boat was actually gone. What did you see, hear, and feel? Describe your experience in as much detail as you can remember. Once the boat was gone, you spent some time just enjoying the beach. What did you do? Describe your experience in as much detail as you can remember. Okay, now that you've answered these questions, we're ready to step into part 2 of integration. To do this, I want to share a bit about understanding the communication offered by your subconscious mind when you're in non-ordinary states of consciousness. In trance, your subconscious mind communicates not only through linear knowing, but also through all of your senses: sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste, often simultaneously through what are called representational systems. Now, which sense or senses your subconscious mind prefers to communicate through will be unique to you. For most people, the primary channels are visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, although for a few, olfactory and gustatory, meaning smells and tastes, can offer a lot of information as well. It is often the case that the dominant sense you rely on in your conscious life is not the preferred system of communication for your subconscious mind. So, for example, if you're a highly visual person in your ordinary waking state, then, when you're in trance, it may be that what you hear or what you feel physically or emotionally is much more significant and revealing than what you see during your trance experience. Sometimes the difference in perception between waking and trance states can be significant or even extreme. For example, a person who has a strong auditory or sound awareness in ordinary consciousness may experience a complete absence of sound while in trance. In order for you to better understand how your subconscious mind will offer you insight during your ongoing trance work, let's explore which representational systems your subconscious mind prefers. We can do this by working with the responses that you've already made. Let's begin with a fresh page of paper, so pause this recording until you're ready to go. To begin, first divide your page into 3 columns. Title Column 1, Visual. Title Column 2, Auditory. And Title Column 3, Kinesthetic. In a moment, what I'd like you to do is to go back and review the descriptions you made in response to the questions I asked, noticing the specific words and phrases that you used to explain your experience. In the appropriate column, you can write the words or phrases you used in your responses. For example, if you're describing a color or size, brightness or darkness, specific numbers, clarity or blurriness, well, those are visual descriptors, so just note them in the visual column. If you find that you've described sounds or even internal dialogue or thoughts, for example, loud or quiet, if you hear a tone or music or birds or swishing sounds, these are all examples of auditory descriptors, so you can note them in the auditory column. If you described sensations, whether they were physical or emotional, things like hot or cold, rough or smooth, loose or tight, pushing or squeezing, if something felt uncomfortable or relaxing, sad or embarrassing, heavy or frustrating, well then, these are kinesthetic descriptors, so you can note them in the kinesthetic column. If you mentioned smells or tastes in your responses, you can make a side note or add another column as well. You can pause the recording and review your responses now. Okay, great. Now, looking at the columns, you may notice that one column has significantly more entries than the others. For some people, 2 columns are similar in length, with the third having very few entries. Make a note for yourself about which column or columns have the most entries for your own reference as you continue with your trance work. These will be your dominant subconscious representational systems. Recognizing your dominant subconscious representational system or systems will help you to know what to pay special attention to while you are in non-ordinary states. During trance sessions, the most potent subconscious communication will usually be relayed through these dominant sense channels. Okay, now, please review your descriptions of the containers or burdens that you are carrying, noticing which one or ones were largest, heaviest, most unpleasant to look at or touch, and which were hardest to let go of. Your own discernment of those particular containers was shaped, differentiated, and organized by your own subconscious mind. Whatever it is that you've been carrying in those particular containers is what is most significant, troubling, or unresolved to your unconscious mind. Therefore, in terms of prioritizing your focus in trance work, attending first to what you are carrying in those containers will be most impactful and transformative as you cultivate your trance work practice. Because transforming through trance work is a practice, and just like any practice, you will develop more skill, more clarity, and you'll go deeper as you gain more experience. I've created these recordings to support the development of your own personal trance work journey. Cultivating your own practice is crucial, and you're making a great start. I also want you to know that you don't always have to go it alone. If you find that you want or need support, if you get stuck, or if what you're working with is difficult, traumatic, or complex, and you feel that these recordings, being necessarily broad, aren't quite specific enough, please visit monarchtrancework.com to arrange some one-to-one sessions. A 1-hour consultation is always free, and together we can explore how I can support your ongoing trance work journey. I want to thank you for doing this work. It isn't always easy or pleasant, but it's important work, and it will change your life.